Hello my dear students, welcoming you all back for the third video lecture on the topic elements of group 13, 14 and 15. In the last video lecture, that is the second part of the video lecture, we studied about the trends in atomic and physical properties of elements of group 14 and 15. Trends of group 13 we had already studied in the first video lecture. So in that we came to know about the ionic radius, the ionization enthalpy, the electronegativity of group 14 and 15 element. Then students, we started with one of the most important topic, that is the chemical properties of elements of group 13, 14 and 15, and in that we completed two properties. The first property was the the oxidation state, and the second property was the bonding. In today's lecture, we are going to study few more properties which are given in your textbook. So, revising about the oxidation state, we came to know that the highest oxidation state, that is exhibited by the p block element, is equal to the total number of valence electrons. That is, whatever number of electrons that are present in its valence shell are its oxidation contributes to its oxidation state. So, in that way, the oxidation state of group 13 was found to be plus 3, of group 14 it was found to be plus 4, and of group 15 it was found to be plus 5. They also exhibit other oxidation state, and that depends upon group oxidation state minus 2, means it will be lower than the group oxidation state by 2 units. We studied about the inert pair effect as well. So what is an inert pair effect? So the reluctance of NS2 electrons to unpair and participate in the bond formation is the inert pair effect, and it depends upon various factors. Like if the NS2 electron of that valence shell in p element experience poor shielding effect by the inner d and f electron, then this inert pair effect arises. We also know that for bond formation, certain amount of energy is being required. But if the energy required to unpair the paired s electrons is more than the energy evolved in bond formation, then also this inert pair arises. Inert pair effect arises. So students, this was all that we studied in our previous video lecture. Today we are going to study reactivity of group 13, 14 and 15 elements. Then we will be studying a new topic, that is catenation, and we will be studying about allotropes. You all are quite familiar with the term allotropes. So we are going, students, now let us study the third chemical property, that is the reactivity towards air or oxygen. So my dear students, in this basically we are going to deal with the reactions that the elements of group 13, 14 and 15 shows with various reactants. So the first one is the reactivity towards air and oxygen of the group 13 elements. So elements of group 13 on heating with air or oxygen produce oxides of type E2O3. So my dear students, over here this oxide E2O3 will remain same for all the elements of group 13. Over here this E represents element. So now we are talking in terms of group 13 elements. So over here this E can be either boron, aluminium, gallium, indium or thallium. So it is E is represented in a general form. So when it is reacted with oxygen or when it is being reacted with nitrogen, it will lead to the formation of some oxide. My dear students, over here you all can see above the arrow there is this symbol given, okay, in a triangular shape. So students, that symbol represents heating. So when a particular element is being heated either with air or oxygen, it leads to the formation of some oxide. Now students, let us understand how is this E2O3 formed. So we know that the element is of group 13. So its group oxidation state will be 3 plus. And for oxygen, it will be O2 minus. So as we have already studied in redox reaction, the oxidation number. So my dear students, when we cross multiply it, it will be E2O3. Now talking about the second reaction. So how is this En formed? So again students, the group oxidation state of elements of group 13 is E3 plus, and the oxidation state of nitrogen is N3 minus, that is nothing but nitride. So students, both of them are having plus 3 charge. So that 3 and 3 gets cancelled and we are left with 1 and 1. So that is why the product which is formed is En. Now students, if it in place of E, if I am substituting say boron B, so it will become boron oxide. If it in place of say E over here in the second reaction, if I am substituting B again, so it will become boron nitride. Similarly, for the first reaction, if I am substituting aluminium, it will be aluminium oxide. For the second reaction, it will be aluminium nitride, and so on. Now students, let us study the reactivity of oxygen or air with group 14 elements. So students, the elements of group 14, when they are heated in presence of air or oxygen, even they lead to the formation of oxide. And those oxides are of the type EO and EO2. And this depends upon the stable oxidation state and the availability of the oxygen. Now my dear students, you all can see two reactions over here. So in the first reaction, you all can see that half molecule of O2 is being taken and it leads to the formation of EO. Whereas when an entire molecule of oxygen is being taken, it leads to the formation of EO2. Means if there is abundance of oxygen available, then it will be leading to the formation of EO2. Whereas if the supply of oxygen is limited, then it will lead to the formation of EO. Students, now let us study the reactivity of group 15 elements towards air and oxygen. So the elements of group 15, when they are heated in presence of air and oxygen, they lead to the formation of two types of oxide, and that can be E2O3 or it can be E2O5. Let us see some examples. P4 plus 3O2 leads to the formation of P4O6. P4 plus 5O2 leads to the formation of P4O10. AS4 plus 3O2 gives AS4O6. 2Bi plus 3O2 gives BiO3. Now my dear students, over here you all will observe that for the first, second and third reaction, it has led to the formation of P4O6, P4O10, AS4O6. But over here it is given that it leads to the formation of oxide that are E2O3 and E2O5. Whereas over here it is 4 and 6, 4 and 10. So my dear students, this is because the product is a dimer of this oxide. Now what do we understand by dimer? So as the name suggests, di means two and mer means part. So my dear students, over here the products have formed two parts of the monomer. So these oxides which are there, they are the monomers, and these products which are being formed, they are the dimer. So my dear students, when two monomers combine, it leads to the formation of the dimer. Students, now in this slide we will be studying that what kind of oxides does group 13, 14 and 15 make, and what are the nature of these oxides which these elements make. Students, we have already studied while explaining the physical properties of group 13, 14 and 15 that as we go down the group, the metallic character goes on increasing. So initially the higher elements which are there, they are non-metals. Then comes the metalloids and the lower elements which are there, they are basically the metals. So as their metallic character varies, similarly even the nature of their oxides gradually vary from acidic to amphoteric to basic. Now students, one very important point which you all need to remember is that as the metallic character increases, that is the heavier elements, their oxides are basic. So students, if the element is a metal, then their oxide is basic. And if the element is a non-metal, then their oxide is acidic. Now students, if you all observe the oxides of group 13, then they make a general formula, and that general formula is E2O3. So where E represents the elements of group 13. Now you all can see boron. So the oxide of boron is acidic. Then students, coming down, aluminium gallium. So the nature of the oxide of aluminium gallium is amphoteric. Then coming to indium thallium, the nature of oxide is basic. So students, as you all are coming down, the metallic character is going on increasing, and that is why, my dear students, the oxide is going on becoming basic. Now students, you all are quite aware of the term acidic and basic. Now what do we mean by amphoteric? You all need to understand that amphoteric nature of a compound means it can act as both acid as well as base. So in the presence of base, it will act as a acid and neutralize the base. And in presence of acid, it will act as a base and it will neutralize the acid. So that is basically what we called as amphoteric nature. Now if you all see for group 14, then you all can see that first three oxides exhibit acidic nature, then the next two exhibit the amphoteric nature. Talking about group 15, the first two exhibit acidic nature, then the amphoteric nature, and the last, that is the bismuth, it exhibits the basic nature. So in this way, the oxides and their nature will vary from acidic to amphoteric to basic. We shall see the reactivity of group 13, 14 and 15 elements with water. Most of the elements of group 13, 14 and 15 are unaffected by water. My dear students, what do we understand by the term unaffected? When you react any element of group 13 or maybe 14 or 15 with water, then there is no reaction that will take place, and as a result no product will be formed. So the element will remain as it is. Aluminium reacts with water on heating and forms hydroxide. So if you take aluminium and if you react with water, but for that we are supposed to provide heating for it, then and then only it will lead to the formation of hydroxide of aluminium. And tin reacts with steam to form oxide. Now what do we understand by steam? Steam is nothing but vapor plus heating. So when tin is reacted with steam, it leads to the formation of oxide. Aluminium forms hydroxide and tin form oxide. So let us come towards the reaction. So when aluminium reacts with 6 molecules of water, it will lead to the formation of aluminium hydroxide and hydrogen gas will be evolved out. And when tin is reacted with 2 molecules of water, now students, over here you all can see the physical state of water as gaseous. That is because over here we are taking steam. We are not involving water. When it is heated, it will lead to the formation of tin oxide. And again hydrogen gas will be evolved out. Now students, lead is unaffected by water due to formation of a protective film of oxide. So students, there is a protective film of oxide on lead, and that is why it is unaffected by water. Now we shall study the reaction of group 13, 14 and 15 elements with halogen. So first we will be studying the reaction of group 13 elements with halogen, followed by group 14 and group 15. So students, the reaction of elements of group 13 with halogens is direct. That is, various factors such as catalyst or heating or pressure is not required. It directly leads to the formation of product. And the product form is basically a trihalide. The general formula for trihalide is EX3, where E is the element of group 13 and X is the halide. Now what do we understand by the term trihalide? So as we know, tri means 3. So 3 halide atoms are bonded to a single atom. So now for example, we take the example of say boron. So boron reacts with any halide to form boron trihalide. Or if aluminium reacts, it forms aluminium trihalide. But my dear students, there is one exception, and that exception is of the lower element of group 13, that is the thallium. Thallium is an exception which forms monohalide. So my dear students, over here there are not three halide atoms which are being linked, but there is only one halide atom. So one atom of thallium reacts with one atom of halide and it forms a monohalide. So over here you all need to remember that boron, aluminium, gallium and indium, all these will form trihalides, whereas thallium will form monohalide. Now my dear students, it is but obvious that the group oxidation state of group 13 is +3, that is why it will be forming a trihalide. Now talking about group 14 elements, so the outer electronic configuration, the oxidation state of group 14 is +4, and that is why it is but obvious it will be forming tetrahalide, that is EX4. But students, we also know that due to inert pair effect, the elements of group 14 also show +2 oxidation state. And that is why students, heavy elements such as germanium and lead, they form dihalides. And as we know that as we move down the group, the inert pair effect increases and the lower oxidation state, the stability of lower oxidation state also increases. So students, the stability of dihalides increases down the group due to the inert pair effect. So when we talk about tetrahalide, it means 4 halide atoms are bonded to a single atom. And when we talk about dihalides, so 2 halide atoms are bonded to a single atom. Now students, talking about the elements of group 15, so the oxidation state of group 15 is +5. So it is but obvious that the elements of group 15 will react with halogen and it will form pentahalides. That is, 5 halide atoms will be bounded to a single atom. But my dear students, the very first element of group 15, that is the nitrogen, it does not have d orbital in its valence shell, as it is the second period element. And that is why, my dear students, it won't be forming pentahalide, but it will be forming trihalide. And that is the reason the elements of group 15 will be forming trihalides as well as pentahalides. Nitrogen is the only element that will be forming trihalides. Rest all the elements of group 15 will be forming pentahalides. So my dear students, this was about the reactivity of group 13, 14 and 15 elements with respect to air, oxygen, water and halogens. So in this we studied about what all compounds the group 13, 14 and 15 elements make. Students, let us study one problem. So this problem is based upon the stability of tetrahalide and dihalide. I am reading the problem. Germanium tetrachloride is more stable than germanium dichloride, while lead dichloride is more stable than lead tetrachloride. Explain. So my dear students, over here we need to explain why germanium tetrachloride is more stable than germanium dichloride and lead dichloride is more stable than that of lead tetrachloride. My dear students, the most simplest answer for this kind of question is inert pair effect. We have already studied what is inert pair effect in our previous lecture video. Now, if we talk about germanium tetrachloride, it means germanium is having +4 charge. If we talk about germanium dichloride, it is having germanium is having +2 charge. If we talk about lead dichloride, lead is having +2 charge, and lead tetrachloride, so lead is having +4 charge. My dear students, we know that the inert pair effect increases down the group. That is why the lower oxidation state will be more stable. Now my dear students, we know that the lower element of group 14 is lead. We know that germanium and lead both are the elements of group 14. All the elements of group 14 are carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. Lead is the heaviest element and the lower element of group 14. And we know that the group oxidation state of group 14 is +4. We also know that group 14 exhibits the oxidation state of +2 as well. Stability of +2 oxidation state increases down the group. And as lead is the lowermost element, that is why this lead will be more stable in +2 oxidation state. Whereas when we talk about germanium, so germanium is the third element. If you see from the bottom, then it is third. If you all see from the top, it is third. So my dear students, the +2 oxidation state of germanium is not that stable, or not more stable as compared to that of lead. That is why the +4 oxidation state of germanium is more stable as compared to the +2 oxidation state. Whereas the +2 oxidation state of lead is more stable as compared to the +4 oxidation state of the lead. And that is why germanium tetrachloride is more stable than germanium dichloride, and lead dichloride is more stable than lead tetrachloride. Students, now let us see one more problem where we need to discuss why nitrogen does not form pentahalide. So I am reading the question. Nitrogen does not form NCl5 or NF5, but phosphorus can. Explain. So my dear students, over it is given that nitrogen cannot form pentahalide, but phosphorus can. And why is it so? So we need to understand why does this happen. Students, we know that nitrogen belongs to the second period element, and second period element do not have d orbitals in its valence shell, and that is why, my dear students, nitrogen is not able to form pentahalide. Whereas when we talk about phosphorus, the electronic configuration of phosphorus is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p3, and my dear students, phosphorus has a vacant d orbital, and that is the reason why the phosphorus is able to form pentahalide. In the ground state, phosphorus will be having a vacant d orbital, but in its excited state, the 3s orbital, the electron of the 3s orbital will get transferred to the vacant d orbital, and it will form 5 unpaired electrons, and that is the reason why phosphorus is able to form PCl5 or NF5. Students, now let us study one very important property, that is catenation. So what exactly is catenation? So the property of self-linking of atoms of an element by covalent bonds to form chains and ring is called catenation. So my dear students, the tendency of a particular atom to form long chains with atoms of itself is nothing but catenation. Now let us see this using some examples. So students, over here you all can see that the carbon atoms are being linked to one another, and this has led to the formation of straight chain. Whereas talking about the branch chain, so over here you all can see again the carbon atoms are being linked and it has formed branch chain. Similar goes with the closed chain. So my dear students, over here you all can see the formation of ring structure with the help of the carbon atoms. Now over here we can see the linkage of the elements, and this linkage is due to the covalent bonds. So over here the bonds which are being formed between two identical atoms or two identical elements is because of the covalent bond. Carbon is one such element which exhibits catenation to maximum extent, and that is because, my dear students, the carbon-carbon bond is very strong and it has tetravalency. Now due to this property of catenation that the carbon exhibits, carbon atoms can form various types of straight chain, it can form branch chain, and it can form ring structure, and this gives rise to large variety of compounds which the carbon can form. And it is not just that only carbon has the property of catenation. There are many such elements which have this property of catenation. So there is silicon, germanium, there is tin which can also have the property of catenation. But the maximum tendency is that of carbon. So students, over here you all can see the order of catenation. So carbon has the maximum tendency, followed by silicon and then germanium and tin. These both have the same order of or same priority of catenation. Then my dear students, a lead does not show catenation. Now this is because, my dear students, we know that down the group the elements become heavier and their metallic characteristics increases. Their atomic size increases, and that is why the metal-metal bond strength it decreases, and that is why the tendency to show this catenation also decreases, and that is the reason why lead doesn't show catenation and carbon shows the maximum catenation. My dear students, over here in this diagram you all can see the bond enthalpy of these elements. So carbon-carbon has the highest bond enthalpy, whereas tin has the lowest bond enthalpy.